All right, we are live on the YouTube. We are here as well on Clubhouse. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Welcome to the Sanctuary of Saints, where our mission is to grow, mature, and develop the children of God while building a self sustainable community. Part of what we do here in that aspect is to talk about very important issues, very important matters within our nation, right? That nation, to my understanding, being predominantly so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this part of the world that I'm currently in. Right? So a part of that maturity is to actually talk and teach about things that matter, things that affect our lives on a daily basis. Yes, we have all kinds of biblical breakdowns here. We have prophecy. We have classes dealing with wisdom, right? Like this one normally is. We have all kinds of classes, okay? But our most important kind of class is that which is real life, real world, because it is a reflection of the great commandment that we teach, that we should keep, loving your neighbor as yourself. So in these kinds of matters, it's extremely important to not only talk about them, which we will have, Lord willing, conversational forum on this topic with other leaders coming shortly. So look out for that. But we want to make sure that number one, we we thoroughly comb through this because there's a lot of he said, she said. There's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of when I say misunderstanding, in particular, on how we should be dealing with this or not dealing with this, what kind of grace one should be afforded, forgiveness, restoration. Um, is it anybody's business? So forth and so on. There's a lot of misunderstanding surrounding these things. So there has to be someone or people that bring clarity. So last week, I want to give a quick recap. We focused on number one, that the exposing of the leadership in Israel specifically is biblical prophecy that we've overlooked. It is one of the great prophecies in scripture unfolding currently. Why is that? It's because, in context of this expose and ultimate woe for these leaders, we then Exodus, right? So this precedes the Exodus. This is during what we call Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble begins with the leaders being decimated by the Most High. And we provided scriptural proof. And the reason for that is because of the leaders and the lifestyles of uh, the actions of these leaders, right? The lifestyles of these leaders, right? So called men of God. That is the reason for it. And we read that in scripture. We read it twice. We read it in Jeremiah 23. We also read that in Ezekiel 34. So if you have not heard the last class, I was a little bit more fiery than I probably will be today. But make sure that you go back and check that class out. It will make more sense to you than if you come in now. Okay. And please, of course, as the Sister Rose put in the chat, like, share, and subscribe. Right? Like, share, and subscribe because these are the topics that actually matter. These are the topics that actually are important in these last days, not the debates about, uh, you know, Gentile salvation, not the debates about the other things, that we so-called talk about all the time, discuss, go back and forth with Christians, the Trinity, and do we have to keep the law and things like that, right? At this point in time in our history, because every day that passes becomes history, those things are not important. I feel like I'm just kind of gonna break this down a little bit. I feel like when people say things like, we have bigger fish to fry, we have more problems and things of that nature, it is a deflection from the main event. This is the main event. I want to make sure that we understand the expose and the ultimate judgment of the leaders of this nation is the main event in Israel. It's not anything else. All right. So we have to make sure that we acknowledge that, and acknowledge that if you are contrary to this discussion, if you are contrary to the lesson, you are contrary to God. I want to make sure I just draw that line in the sand so everybody knows that's where I'm at with it. I don't have a lot of arguing or a lot of back and forth, right, with the opposition, because the opposition, by all intents and purposes, are finished. All right. They might as well, as I said before, drop dead. Okay. Just that's what you might as well go and do. Go dig a grave and hop in it, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So with that being said, and I gave scriptural support for that, right? Because you, of course, you're gonna have the people that say, well, the brother is wishing death upon people and so forth and so on. And to you, I also say drop dead. All right. Anybody who's saying that, if that's your mentality, because at this point, I understand the spirits involved. I understand what's happening outside of a physical plane. So if that is what your spirit is saying, then that means you're on the other side of the line. It's just real easy nowadays to separate the two. All right. You might be in the middle or on the fence because, well, I don't know about this and I don't know about that. Okay. Well, shut up and listen. Very easy. If you are one that doesn't know or you want to stay out of it, okay, shut up and listen then. Because this is life or death, whether you are on one side or the other. And the Lord does talk about being lukewarm, right? So all of you, like, I'm just staying out of it. It's none of my business. You'll only be able to do that for so long. You're only going to be able to do it for a certain amount of time. And then you're also a goner by default. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to give a quick recap. Well, I just did give a quick recap as far as what we're seeing with these episodes that we are talking about being the norm. Unfortunately, this is but one situation of many in Israel currently that is like unto this. Okay. And of course, the Most High is going to judge. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, and I'm going to start at verse 4 for some context. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God. This is in the context of Jacob's trouble. We are going to actually seek the Lord our God with our whole heart. Reading on. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. As I taught in our private class, this is when we decide we are going into the new covenant, Verse 5 or verse 6, which is the point. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. See that? So, this is why I pointed out last week we are in captivity in the first place because of the shepherds. So, again, we're boycotting the Chinese people. We have all of this vitriol for white people, quote unquote. And I'm not saying that isn't deserved. I'm not saying that we have not been wronged. But what I am saying is we are not nearly as upset as we should be. That none of that anger is directed to the source, right? To the source of what God is saying we are in captivity for. So let yourself know it starts with us and it starts with who you decided to lead you. That's what our captivity began with and ends with. Verse 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversary said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So in their mind, they're justified. And when I say they, I'm talking about the leadership of the other nations. You see how it always begins with the leadership and ends there? And the people go astray based on the leadership? That's how it is with your enemies, Israel, right? You're mad at every Joe Schmo who does not make any decisions, who does not have any institutional power at all to make your life what it is. Do they benefit off of that? Yes, they do. You don't even know how to properly place your anger. And that's something I'm going to teach on as well. You don't even know who you should be upset with and who you should try to gain an advantage on. You don't even know the difference. And that's going to be paramount in these last times. I digress. The point that I want to emphasize before we go into the lesson, though, is actions, they speak louder than words. It's a cliche saying in the world. Nevertheless, it is literally a biblical principle. What you do says more about who you are than what you actually say, what you actually teach. This is a principle that many of the leaders don't take to heart as they rise to leadership. They think it's about the appearance. They make that mistake. The uniforms, the fancy equipment, right? The lifestyle that you live, because you have to look appealing. And then how you teach and what you teach. That comes second in their mind. And the actual way that they deal with people is not at the forefront, except for when it is to serve themselves. This is the difference between Christ and his disciples and how they led people versus the Pharisees and how they led people. And this is what he was pointing out in Matthew, the 23rd chapter, which some of that we'll touch on today. All right. So now, with that being said, let's play this first timestamp from opening to 2 minutes and 27 seconds. I'm sure many of you all that are in here have heard this video. Let me go to the Clubhouse. But let's go ahead and play it back anyway so that we can break this thing down.
Before I continue this series, I want to address something that has become very clear to me. Since the these videos started, I've heard a lot about resolution, counsel, and elder involvement. What I haven't seen is urgency. Deacon called me after episode 1, and within minutes, Elder Jediah was able to reach out. Brother Hassad previously told me he was working on a plan, wanted to bring my father into a counseling discussion, and wanted to talk about what accountability and support would look like moving forward. But once I continued telling my story, all of that seemed to disappear. And that's what I find interesting, because where was this urgency before the videos, when I was asking for help? Where was the urgency when I was struggling financially? Where was the urgency when I told people I was at risk of losing housing? Where was the urgency when our daughter was going weeks without contact from my father? Nobody seems interested in discussing those things. Nobody is asking, do you have enough for rent, diapers, how's the baby doing, what would accountability actually look like? Instead, the focus seems to be on stopping the conversation.
You got a commercial. Forgive the commercial break, but let me just, as you loading that up, let me just talk about that right there. That's what I'm talking about. Stop right there. Real quick. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. My bad. My bad. I thought I was off mute. Take it back. I was actually telling you on mute that was a good place to stop. This is what I'm talking about with the leaders. She makes episode 1, and then all of a sudden, everyone, all the leaders, all the elders are hitting her up, and they got time to talk about resolution, about moving forward, how we're going to do things differently. Everybody had time when she exposed, I should say, when God exposed, then everybody had time to hit her line. But here's the point that the scripture is saying and that I'm articulating. It's only words. It's only tongue in cheek. And she does an excellent job. This sister does an excellent job of articulating herself. This sister does an excellent job of representing the entire situation. Right? Because now, the way that she's orated this, Brother Hakah has to come out and either affirm that this is exactly what happened or deny. She does an excellent job of always pointing out her role in the matter. You see, because that's what a lot of brothers will try to do. They try to pinpoint to say, well, you don't know how she was acting. She could have been a whole different kind of person and da 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 da. No. She does, like, she paints the picture where we can say, okay, well, yeah, that probably made him mad. Or she probably, when she said that. Now, of course, she might have been saying these things that she's alleging that she said in a different tonality, right? It might have came off as a little bit more aggressive, but I mean, to me, so what? To me, I don't care about that at all. I don't care how she said it. I don't care if she added on other acronyms and words. That doesn't matter to me at all. It shouldn't matter to any of you, to be quite honest, what her reactions were, right? Shouldn't matter at all. Nevertheless, I do want to say that it is telling, very telling. The individuals that she named, both teachers, leaders, and elder, reached out. But then, after the continuation of the truth, that stopped. That's very interesting to me. That's very telling of the kind of people that you all are dealing with, that you all are being led by. That is trash. I want to make sure that I say that clean. Those brothers that jumped in and said things, you were speaking on the other brother's behalf, wanting her to discontinue saying the truth and promising her more empty promises. You see, this is what Christ is talking about in Matthew 23. Why would you call her and pretty much tell her to expect change when nothing is going to happen? when nothing is coming, unless you're saying you are going to inspire the change that was necessary contingent on if she stops talking or not. That is very wicked. It's extremely immoral to hold over her head resolution, apology, all the things that she deserves based on if she's quiet or not. That is diabolical. So I want to make sure that we break that down so that you can know that those people are wicked. They're wicked. No matter how you slice it. I'm going to read the book of Matthew, chapter 7. And I'm going to start at verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. See, wolves what? Devour sheep. So they come and pretend to be like you. They come to and pretend to feed you and care about you. But Christ is warning you to beware, meaning that we shouldn't be looking. See, a prophet is also a priest and leader as well, right? In prophecy. So it's using the word prophets, but you can insert any of the word teacher, leader. If you're proclaiming the word of God, which were prophetic in nature, this applies to you. So Christ tells us to actually beware. But see, as a nation, we're not aware of them. We don't take heed to this. We don't know how to beware of them. That's the problem. Nobody teaches us or has taught us how to beware of these guys. And he's not saying beware of them based off of what they're saying. I want to make sure that I stress that. That's not the way that you could beware of a false prophet. You can't beware of him or a false teacher or a false leader. When I say false, them pretending, that's what the scriptures mean. They're pretending or acting as that thing, but inwardly, they're all about themselves and all about enriching their own lives to their own agenda, right? At your expense. Now, in their own head and in their own heart, they're going to call it something different. They'll rationalize it something different, which is why I don't do the arguing on this topic, because they can rationalize it and they will rationalize it as something else, which is why the masses are deceived, because then you'll believe it. Israel has a tendency, that's how come I have to use so many words. Israel has a tendency to believe words than actions. You have a tendency to believe people's words or favor people's words or judge according to their words more than you do their actions. That's a fault by the sheep. So we have to make sure that we cleanly say that today. So let's go ahead and keep pointing.
He can agree in front of me and my parents to provide $1,000 a month in support. And then it stopped. This also assured me certain commitments would be honored. Leviticus 19 and 11 says, "Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely." So my question is simple: who's holding Deacon accountable? Who's holding him accountable as a husband, as a father, as a leader? Because from where I'm standing, it appears many people are hoping this will simply blow over. People will move on, and Deacon will eventually return online as if none of this ever happened. My issue has never been that I'm a bitter woman. My issue is that I was manipulated, mistreated, financially harmed, and a child was brought into the situation who is now largely being ignored. Resolution is not a call after a video is released. Resolution is accountability, resolution is action, and resolution is changed behavior. And if we're being honest, I have yet to see much of that from Deacon, Assad, or the elders he claims to be accountable to. To my knowledge, Deacon has not publicly addressed his alcoholism, sought real therapy, attended AA, made meaningful restitution, or demonstrated any sustained changes in his behavior. not seeing meaningful change in his role as a father. The same concerns that existed before these videos are the same concerns that exist today.
All right. All praises. I'm gonna let my brother come up. I think Messiah had raised his hand. So yes, this is a well said by this sister. Well said. Can you still hear me on Clubhouse? Can you hear me? Okay. Well said. Number one, I love how she cited the law, because she's citing the law and she actually didn't read the entire, she forgot one part of it. So let me go there and read it really quick. Leviticus 19. We covered it last week. Leviticus 19 and 11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. So now it appears as if, unless they actually do something, everybody that called her, I want to make sure I hold them accountable. She's asking who is going to hold accountable. I'm going to do it. Right here and right now. All of those brothers, elders, teacher, leaders that called that woman, if you don't follow through on your word, then you violated Leviticus 19 and 11. You dealt falsely with her and you lied to her. You attempted to deal falsely with her, I would say. I would say you attempted in vain to deal falsely, which is still the same thing, right? Because she didn't go for it. And you lied to her. That's what that means. Okay? You're a liar, right? And you're dealing falsely. And that's the main problem that all these guys have. So all these guys have. When I say all, I'm painting with a broad brush. Of course, there's a few that are not like that. All right. So that's what is wrong with them. I want to make sure I hold them accountable. And I'm going to hold him accountable today. If you don't pay the $1,000, because we're going to talk about the money too. If you don't pay the $1,000 a month, like you agreed, so you have to come out and say, I didn't say that. That's what you would have to say. But then she's saying there's 2 to 3 more witnesses to that fact that you did say that you would do that. So if you're not paying the $1,000 a month, like you said you would, like the reverse of what you wanted her to do, then you are violating again. You're dealing falsely and you're lying to the sister. We got to call it what it is. That's what happens when you don't do what you say. And see, Israel, you don't even acknowledge that. The people that still support him in this and all of this and, standing by him, that's the part that you're not even fathoming. He's literally still in sin every single day in this matter. I'm proving it to you. You don't even realize actions speak louder than words. If he says he's going to do the $1,000 a month and then he doesn't do the $1,000 a month, what does that make him? It's very objective. And I don't care about like financial hard times or this happened or that happened. Does not Christ say, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay? So if you pledge to do something, which is well within your budget to do, by the way, we'll get to that, and you're not doing it, then you're a liar, you're a deceiver, you stole her money. And you're a continued liar, thief, right? And so forth and so on. Every day that you don't pay. Every day. I have to break this down so y'all can understand the concept of actions being louder than words, meaning more to the Most High than what a nigga is saying he will do or should do. Then she talked about the big thing, obviously, is the alcoholism. Do you guys not understand he's an alcoholic? I tried to break it down as best as I could last week. So where's everybody saying hey, bro, you got to stop drinking. Who's saying that to him? That's what holding him accountable would mean. You would spend about half as much money as you spend if you wasn't an alcoholic, right? Because alcoholics go bar hopping, right? You're going to go on the scene where alcohol is. You shouldn't be doing that. Who's going to tell him you need to stop doing that? Right? You need to discontinue that. You have a lot of children. You should be spending $200 a day on your children. You should be spending $200 a day on your mothers or the children's mothers. Not calling them your wives. I'm not giving you that respect. That's what you should be doing. Who's gonna say that to him? Me. All right, because I don't think you guys are. All right. So, with that being said, that was the first timestamp, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to 7 minutes and 34 seconds. And then we're going to stop at 10 minutes and 23 seconds.
You said 10:23?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Come on.
Yeah, we got a few commercials on this one. You know, it's one of those types of videos, so bear with us.
Pregnancy, I need people to understand the situation I was already in when I found out I was pregnant. Because the pregnancy didn't create the problems, it exposed them. In February 2024, when I found out I was pregnant, I was already in a very bad position emotionally, financially, and mentally. The relationship was already unstable, the financial issues had already happened, the promises had already been broken, the control had already been established. And looking back now, I can see that my pregnancy didn't start in a loving, stable marriage. It started in survival mode. In January 2024, I just learned how much my workers' compensation settlement was going to be, and something quietly shifted inside me. We knew I couldn't give him that money. He sent disability payments week after week. I had already handed over savings. I had already watched my credit be used. I had already been promised things that never happened. I had already been told I would be added to the bank accounts, and at that point, I knew that if my settlement ended up in his hands, I might never financially recover. So I started preparing quietly. I didn't announce it. I didn't threaten to leave. I didn't make some dramatic statement. I just started trying to repair my credit behind the scenes because I knew I needed to be ready for whatever came next. At the same time, he had me sell my car. He framed it like it was a smart financial decision. He said it would reduce expenses, and he said I can drive the Mercedes he put in my name whenever I needed to. So I sold my car. I made about $2,000, and that money didn't stay with me. He took it too. And then after my car was gone, he started acting like I was asking to use the Mercedes too much. I remember thinking, how am I asking for it too much? You're the one who told me to sell my car. I literally don't have a vehicle anymore. So now I'm in Washington, away from my family, away from my support system, dependent on him for transportation, dependent on him financially, and still dealing with my injury. And I hadn't even found out I was pregnant yet. And at that point, we were already on a separation. That separation came from the bank account issue. Since September, I had been asking about being added to the bank account because that was one of the original promises. From the beginning, I was told that as his wife, I was required to give him my money because he would be in charge of all the finances. In return, I would be added to the account. That was the agreement. Once he had my money, everything started changing. Every time I followed up, every time I asked questions, every time I wanted clarity, every time I wanted accountability, somehow it became conflict. It got to the point where even in front of my dad and chief, he said he would add me the following week. So naturally, I followed up. Instead of following through, I started getting put on separations. Looking back, those separations felt less like discipline and more like a way to avoid answering questions. Because when you're on separation, you're not really supposed to communicate. So by January, we were already stuck in this cycle. Promise, no follow through, questions, conflict, separation, repeat.
All right. There's a lot to unpack there. It's a lot to unpack. It's still reinforcing the point. Actions speak louder than words. So the previous week, she was supposed to, which I can understand, to a certain degree. She was supposed to give him, basically they're supposed to have a joint account. That's what that is. That situation is not abnormal, whereby a couple has a joint account and you're going to everybody's going to put their money into that account, and then as the head of the household you're going to divvy it out as needed. That, on its face, there's nothing terrible about that, right? I don't have a issue per se with it. The issue becomes when you spend it all on yourself and not her, and you don't even do that, right? That wouldn't even have been an issue if he actually I would have less to say about it. I still think it's foul, whatever. But I would actually, because I want to be objective and fair, I would have less to say about it if he added her to the account and then she was like, well, I don't like this transaction right here, and why did you spend this right there? But that's why he didn't do it, because he never intended to do it. He intended to say he was going to do it to get the money, but not actually do it. Do Hebrew Israelites understand? That is what Christ is talking about in Matthew 23. They say and do not. Hypocrites. They say and do not. So what he did was he stole her money. I want to make sure I say it in clean words. And I want somebody to refute it. I want him to refute it, right? Or somebody from his camp side, whatever, to refute what I'm saying. He stole her money and promised her that she would be included on the account, and he never had the intentions on doing it. And he lied to Alazar, and he lied to her dad. That's what happened. I want to make sure we call a spade so that we can understand this cleanly. I'm here to draw the line. It's not going to be any he said, she said in here. I'm just going to speak very objectively, and somebody tell me when I'm wrong. He lied to her, stole her money, and then he lied to his elders. He lied to the woman's father and all those who would hold him accountable. He lied to them and dealt falsely with them, because he never intended to put her on the account. Because if he puts her on the account, she's able to look at all the ridiculous transactions, and then we would have more information. We would know exactly how much alcohol he's drinking. That's what we would be able to know. She was going to hold him accountable. She was probably the only woman in his life who was going to, actually, yes, she's the only woman in his life who is going to hold him accountable, because in the rest of the video, she does say that he said, right, which I could hear him saying, my other wives, they just gave me their money with no questions asked, right? So they don't hold you accountable. And that's what these leaders want. That's what these leaders have a consistency in desiring. Women who is just going to say yes, obey, and give me all your money and give me your body whenever I'm ready for it. That's what these niggas want in the relationship. And I want to make sure I say that super crystal clear. That's the kind of person he is on the inside. So when I just read the scripture and it says on the inside, they're ravening wolves. This is what it looks like for the leaders to devour the sheep. This is textbook. If you need a physical example, all you have to do is listen to this, right? And don't try to justify him in any way. Just listen to it clearly. That's the only way you can do it, right? If you're listening to it and you're listening to it with the posture of, well, what about what this sister did? You're never going to get it. You're wicked, and you're never going to get it. You will never understand how you won't be able to break it down like how I'm breaking it down if you look at it from that lens. Your conscience is seared. So I want to make sure that we understand that all of this is happening now, spiraling. Their relationship is spiraling, not because of her at all, but because of him and his terrible spending habits on his alcohol and wanting more money from her. And all she wanted in return was for him to do what he said he would do. The issues only came, quote unquote, when she was holding him accountable. And I don't care if she was holding him accountable in a nice, soft-spoken way, like how she's saying in this video, because I'm sure she didn't have that tonality, right? I won't say I'm sure. I would guess probably if you're losing thousands of dollars, because I wouldn't have that tonality either. I would guess that she probably, maybe said some more spicy things. I don't care. I don't care how she said. I don't care if she said, nigga, give me my money. Nigga, put me on an account like you said. I wouldn't care if she said that. She's still not wrong. She's not wrong at all. All right. I'm not holding her accountable for that. But I just want you guys to know that all of the issues that they're having in the marriage starts and ends with him. I'm the only thing that I'm holding her accountable for is getting into the relationship in the first place. Right? But after that, that's where it ends. That is where it ends for me. Judging the matter soberly. Let's go ahead and continue to play. Actually, was that the timestamp? That was the timestamp. To 10. We're at 10:27, correct? Or 10:23?
10:37 right now.
10:37. Yeah, let's go ahead and play now to well, wait. So I have to say this point. So they're doing these separations, right? And that's super, super convenient. It's very convenient to say, I don't want to deal with her because she's being disobedient. She's not listening to me. No, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. See, that's what the crux is of this class is I'm going to always be able to bring it back to that point. You aren't doing what you said and agreed in front of multiple witnesses. See, this is very objective. I don't have to go into the he said, she said. You said you were going to do that and you didn't do it. So now there's problems. That's just 101 with any relationship. You don't do what you say you're going to do. And then you repeat the same actions because that's who you in fact are. That's your character. That's your nature. Right? That isn't something that whereby we just, oh yeah, the brothers failed. He did something that he shouldn't have done. And then no, this isn't that. This isn't a fault. This is an iniquitous lifestyle. He's a worker of iniquity in his soul. Right? People like that don't come back. They don't come back. They were never there in the first place. That's what y'all got to accept. I got to accept. I've learned things from this man. I've learned things from this man in my time in this truth. And in fact, our last interaction was a positive one before this dropped. Our last interaction, we were, I went in there, talking about the doctrine, agreed with them on, a lot of what they're saying, supposed to set up a discussion. After this drop, I texted Hassad immediately. After I seen this, that's canceled. It's over with. Just so y'all know, like, because some of y'all might have been in the room when that happened and like, well, you ended up on a nice note and now you're saying all of this stuff. Because I know it's some of y'all thinking like that. Let me help you out. Right? I did. Because I didn't know this. Right? Soon as I found out, immediately shifted. Hey, bro, hit him behind the scenes. Hey, that discussion we're supposed to have due to this situation is over with. Text back, no problem, bro. All right, so you guys know I only did that, went in there like that, because I didn't know about this. Did I suspect that, the brother was off? Of course. I said that when Alizar had his whole thing. When they were going back and forth, I'm like, nah, it's a lot of wickedness there. And a lot of y'all said the same thing. It's a lot of wickedness there on his end too. And he said some things about Hakkad that I said, I'm gonna need you to deny that cleanly. And that never came, by the way. I didn't forget that. I don't forget. I don't forget those things. I didn't forget when he talked about his sexual deviance. Right? When Alizar talked about his sexual deviance. And then I said, I'm gonna need you to deny that. So yeah, I had some suspicions that he was foul, he was off. Right? But I didn't know this. When I found this out, oh no, I'm against you. I'm against you now, actually. In totality. I'm against you. Fully against him. Somebody has to be. Somebody has to be the one that say, hey, when I see you, it's gonna be this. I don't see anybody doing that. I see everybody like wanting to stay out the way completely. It's not none of my business completely. I think that's against Torah, by the way. That's neither here nor there right now. Or you're supporting him. I don't see anybody, well, many people, right, willing to stand directly against, like, as an opponent. I'm his opponent. So it's clear. And I'm anybody's opponent that stands on his side and feel like he has any legs to stand on at all. I'm your opponent too. I'm against you. All right. No frenemies, no nothing, none of that. I'm against you. When I see you on the street, if I catch you outside, I'm against you in person. It's not shalom when I see you at all. If you get up on this stage and you display that that's who you are, it's not shalom. It ain't peace. It's not none of that with y'all. I'm your op. Just so it's clean. I am an op. All right. Let's go ahead and keep playing. Let's go to 13 minutes and 6 seconds.
And over time, that started feeling less like separation and more like a situation where the rules changed depending on what he wanted in that moment. And by that point, even the conversations around money had changed. I remember him asking me in January if I would be upset if I had to go back to work. And the answer was yes. Not because I didn't want to contribute, but because...
Stop right there. See, the woman, she don't want to work, man. She don't want to contribute to the house. That's what it was, see? We got her right there. See, she just didn't want to go back to work. You know you're supposed to have to contribute. She didn't want to contribute. I hate you niggas that say that. With a perfect hatred. If that is a thought that's in your mind, I am your op. I hate you niggas with a perfect hatred. She shouldn't even have to say, like, it wasn't because I didn't want to contribute. What? The fact that she even have to say that at all, because she knows that's what you are going to say. I am your op. I'm against you. Right? Let's go ahead and keep playing.
Knew I wasn't working when we got together. He knew I was receiving disability payments. Yet, after months of collecting those payments and after I had already given him well over $35,000, the expectation was now shifting towards each wife contributing around $1,000 a month. I already contributed far more than I ever expected to contribute. So, in my mind, the last thing I should have been worried about was how I was going to bring in even more money.
Yeah, stop right there. And that's facts. That's what any decent human being should be thinking in this moment. She shouldn't have been giving him any more money, any money at all. she should have been only receiving money from him. Like, I want to cleanly say that. She wasn't supposed to be contributing anymore. She was only supposed to be receiving money from him. Right? If you think otherwise, I hate you with a perfect hatred. You're my op. I hate you with a perfect hatred. You're my op. Because we have to make sure we set in order correct morality in the nation. Because I'm seeing it be the opposite, and then people are confused. Like, well, does the Bible say we have to? Listen, I hate you with a perfect hatred, and God does too. He's going to kill you for it. So somebody has to be like on that side to like cleanly say it so you can know that that's the reality. She shouldn't have been giving him no more money. She shouldn't have been contributing at all. She was only supposed to be getting taken care of. All right? Period. After all of this foolishness, the taking of the 35,000 overtime, the saying you was going to put her on your account, didn't do it. She was only supposed to be receiving financial support. He wasn't supposed to even be asking her for no more money. Let's keep playing.
The tax refund situation was so frustrating for me. People hear that story and think I was refusing to give them money. I wasn't. So in February 2024, I found out I was pregnant. And right before I found out, I had filed my taxes. My refund was supposed to hit on February 29th. Instead, it arrived on February 28th around 9 p.m. since we're on Pacific time and the banks were on Eastern time. And almost immediately after it hit, he called me. I kid you not. 9:02, my phone was ringing.
Stop.
He was on his way to the park.
Stop. This is madness. This is madness. This is Ezekiel chapter 34 and verse 1. There's been scriptures read for new people that's coming in the room, right? Ezekiel 34 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds. Woe to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? Woe unto you for taking all of her money. You call her your wife. She's about to be the mother of your child. Shouldn't you be giving her money instead? That's the understanding of this modern day. Just so you realize, that's the analogy. You shouldn't be like benefiting off of this woman. The woman is supposed to be benefiting off of you. She's supposed to be the beneficiary in this situation, the mother of your child, not you. So woe to you. That's why I'm on this side, because the Lord is saying these things and he's very upset about it. So I kind of gotta like walk alongside that. Not kind of. I have to all the way walk alongside that. That's where I'm getting the hostility from and the energy from. Where's all this energy coming from, brother? It's coming from the words of the Lord. That's where it's coming from. Reading on. Verse 3. Ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with the wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. So let me just break that down modern day. You got the nice clothes, you got the luxury cars on, you got the all of the stuff that we say that like TD Jakes and them is doing and is guilty of, taking the money from the people, making merchandise of the people. That's literally what he's doing on a smaller level. But that's literally what he's doing, though. Y'all realize that, right? Y'all realize that these leaders that do that, they're the same as TD Jakes. They're the same as Creflo Dollar. They're just not as good at it. That's all. They're just not as good at it. They're sloppy with it. But they are doing the same thing. Y'all realize that, right? You realize he's the same kind of leader that those leaders are. That y'all talk about, and you taking tithes from the people and don't give it back. You know that's what he is, right? That's what's happening. What timestamp are we at right now?
14 minutes and 32 seconds.
14:32. Okay. Let me go to Matthew 23. Make sure I skip that. You're going to, this timestamp, you're going to stop it at 16:18, by the way. Go to Matthew 23. Matthew 23, in verse 1. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe. That observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. This is the first thing that he then goes on to describe and explain what he means by that statement. Verse 4, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. That's what this looks like. You're supposed to be contributing. You're supposed to be giving me your funds. I'm your husband. But what are you giving her? What are you giving her in return? Are you giving her money when she needs it? No. Are you giving her the car that's in her name when she needs it? No. Are you giving her affection as a woman that needs it? That's what women need, especially when they're your quote unquote wife. No. Right? But you expect her to just empty out herself. I need good morning and good night text. I need my food prepared this way. I need this much money contributed per week. And what is she? You're not doing that in return. It's not even like I'm not even, well, I am critical. That's just my opinion of the request. Like, I don't think that should be done, but that's opinionated. But just being objective, it's supposed to be reciprocity. If you ask and have all these demands and strains on the people, you better be straining back the same way. It better be mutual. It's supposed to be mutual. This is what Christ is saying. You put all of these grievous burdens on them, but you won't lift a finger. That is what that looks like in a real life situation. So let's continue to 16:18.
Stop it at 16:18.
Yes, sir.
Not calling to check on me, not calling to ask how I was doing, not calling to talk about our relationship. He just called to ask if the deposit had arrived. Told him yes. He asked how much. I told him it was $1,423. And he said to send him $1,300. I asked if I could keep some of it. I asked if I could send him $1,000 instead. And one of the reasons I suggested that number was because he had already been saying each wife should be contributing around $1,000 a month anyway. So from my perspective, I was still contributing. I was still sending money. I was still compromising, not because I wanted to hide money, not because I was trying to be rebellious, not because I wanted to spend recklessly. I simply wanted some money in my own account. Enough money so that if I needed groceries, needed gas, needed to buy something small, or wanted to get my nails done, I didn't have to stand at the register texting him and waiting for him to decide whether or not to send the exact dollar amount. Because that had already become my reality, and it was humiliating. When I explained that, he changed it and said I can send the entire $1,400. He told me I didn't need money sitting in my account. He said I could just ask him whenever I needed something. I pointed out that he had a bunch of money just sitting in his account, and he spent money whenever he wanted. And that's when he said, I spend a couple $100s a day. You're telling me you want to spend a couple $100s a day? I told him, no, that's not what I was saying. That's when he snapped. I'm not about to argue with you, bitch. Just send me the fucking money. And we hung up. 69% of America.
Stop right there. That's a good place to stop. There's a lot to unpack there again, guys. Like, I think when we hear it, we don't really unpack it. We're going to unpack that today. Right? Again, reinforcing what Christ is saying in Matthew 23. This is it in real time. This man calls this woman as soon as he knows she has some money. Not to ask how she's doing, not to ask how she's feeling, not to talk about the new life that's growing inside of her, but to ask for some money. This is the same problem that starts the other problems. So I want to make sure it's clean. What starts all the problems in their relationship is number one, or the start of it is his alcoholism on the surface level. But like what starts the actual conflict between them in their marriage is her not giving him money or him wanting more of her money. I want y'all to know that that's what this is. It's no more, it's no less. Send me the money, man. That's literally that's that's literally what he said. Right? Not trying to make light of the situation. I'm kind of laughing and smiling because of how angry that I truly am. Right? But that's what starts the issues. The issues is you have money, I need it. You don't need money sitting in your account. Now let's talk about the hypocrisy for a second. Let's talk about that. You don't need any money sitting in your account. What? First of all, just as a leader of another human being, that doesn't make any financial sense at all. She doesn't live with you, number one. Right? I can see if she has access to the card and like she's a woman, she just buying Amazon stuff all the time, and it's some women that do that, right? And guess what? Their husbands allow them to do that, and it's not a problem, by the way. But let's just say that like that's what's going on. Then that kind of makes sense. You will only not need money sitting in your account if you have access to our joint account. It would only make sense to say that then. But she doesn't have access to a joint account because you lied and said that you would put her on it and you didn't do it. So yes, she absolutely does need money on her account because what if she's in an emergency? You don't see her most of the days out of the week. Most of the days she's on her own, fending for herself. Why don't you think she needs money in her account? That's insane. Why wouldn't she need, like, just as a basic, you don't even care about her as a basic human being. Like, children have money on their accounts when they go out on a field trip. They don't call their parents, and you give your child allowance or whatever, or however they do it nowadays. I know that's what I had. You don't need any money just sitting in your account. Of course you do. Money answers all things, right? That's incredibly selfish. That is an abuse of power and authority right there. That's what Christ is saying destruction to these leaders for that right there. And then when she points out the fact that the obvious, well, I shouldn't need money in you have money in your account just sitting there and you spend it when you want. Just pointing out something obvious. Everybody should have money, just for the record, everybody should have money in their account that they have access to and they should and can spend when they need to spend it. That's every human being should. What are we talking about? Well, I spend, and then you say, you tell on yourself, you spend $200 a day. Let's do some math. Let's do some simple math. You spend about $200 a day. That's $1,400 a week. You want your 3 wives to contribute $1,000 a month. What you essentially did, I do quick math. What you essentially did was say, I want you guys to pay for my spending habits. Y'all realize that's literally what that is? I can just break it down off of this video right here. Just doing quick math. You want her, and your other wives, air quotes, girlfriends, baby mamas, to pay for your lifestyle. That's where the money's going. Right? And you wanted the $1,400 Oh, you got $1,400? That's my week of spending money. $1,400, everybody, which was her income tax, is exactly his spending money for the week. You know how I know he's thinking that way? Because he knows roughly about how much money he spends per day. So it's not like and that's what's even more diabolical. It's not like he's like financially illiterate, and that's the issue. Well, maybe the brother just need help on how he do. No, he's very aware of how he spends his money. He's super aware. He's calling her at night. He's very calculated. He's a calculated alcoholic. Good night. That's calculation, everybody. He knows what time her deposit hit. He called at 9:02. That means he was waiting. Because he knew I'm ready to go to the bar. Are we letting people up? Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna let these two brothers up. We can let Jay up. But everybody has to wait to speak until the lesson is done. All right. So that's calculated. That's what it means. All right. $200 a day, that's $1,400 a week. She just got $1,400. Actually, I need it all. We're gonna have a good week this week on you. Why you have nothing, because you don't need anything in your bank account. If you need something, you just call me and then I'll slide it over to you if I feel like it. Or I can determine you don't need it. That is crazy. That is the worst way that you can treat one of God's children. That is the worst way, most inhumane way that you can treat one of God's precious daughters. And then all of the name calling after that. The mental abuse, because she's like, can I keep some of it so I can like buy some groceries, so I can like get my nails done and take care of myself, keep myself up? Like, she should not, number one, she should not have been told at all. Let me just kind of break this down. Because people might not understand. Well, that's that brother's financial situation, and you in here deciding how he's supposed to run his household. Yes, let me do it for a second. Yes, somebody has to. So let's just be clear here. With a decent man, what timestamp are we at?
Right, 16 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, let's just play it to the timestamp to 18, and then I want to break this down.
I didn't send it, not because I refused, not because I was trying to keep it forever. I didn't send it because, from my perspective, we hadn't even agreed on what I was keeping and what I was sending. So a little while later, he called back.
All right.
Now I was just.
That's it. Yeah. So, number one, to me, she don't have to explain why she didn't send it. If she decided she didn't send it because she don't think that he deserve it, I'm okay with that. I'm a defender for it. She don't even have to explain why she didn't send it. What she said made perfect sense. We didn't agree to it. We didn't agree to what we were sending or nothing like that. It was unclear. You could tell I didn't want to send it, though. You could tell I wanted some money, though, for my own self. So I want to make clear, I don't even care about why she didn't send it. You wasn't supposed to have it. So now, temperature check. I wrote this down in my notes. Temperature check, just so we can see who we got here. Who thinks, listen to my question carefully, who thinks that she should have sent the money immediately? Who thinks that as a good wife, she should have sent the 1,400 immediately and not asked any questions? I just need to know who in here thinks that. You see in the chat. we see anything?
You want me to create a poll?
Yeah. Let's create a poll. I forgot you can do that. While you're doing that, I want to say what's up to my brother Jay. What's going on, bro?
Snap, I'm on stage. What's good, Ma? Hope all is well. Peace and blessings to the room. I don't know how I got on stage.
You raised your hand and we brought you up.
I was cutting my lawn. My phone is in my pocket, so I was just listening. So.
All right. Well, we can.
By accident.
Are you good?
Drop me if anything.
All right.
Now that I'm up here, something I did want to ask. Because earlier, I believe she said that she want to make sure that this is a thing. She said that she was being put on timeout. Or not, was it timeout?
Separation.
Or, separation. What exactly is that, and how does that work? Sound like me putting my child on timeout. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Drop me.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'll break that down. So a separation, they get that based on, well, in the Bible, it's based on Paul's wisdom. Right. So a separation is asked for when there's an issue that they can't reconcile. But yes, it is. It's essentially a timeout. It's essentially a break from contact and communication in a relationship. It's supposed to be distanced by both parties until an agreed time to come back together, right? And they, we see that with Paul's wisdom, saying, pretty much if they can't get along or whatever, they're going through something, separate, or if we want to pray and fast or whatever like that, separate. So it's pretty much a break from each other, right? Where you guys have no contact and you have no dealing with each other. That's how it's supposed to go. Even though in like this, it didn't go that way, because it's another example of him saying and doing not. All right, so we got the poll created.
Yeah, it's created. It's up. We got 3 votes here.
All right. I can't. Well, can you tell me what it is?
Yeah, the question is, should she have sent the money? Yes, sent it. No, don't send. And we got 6 votes, 100% on don't send.
Okay. Let me know if we got somebody that says send. Right.
I got you.
All right. So I want to make sure that we understand all of their marital issues are because he wants her money. He wants to continue to devour her. That's all this is. There's nothing else. It's not like, could she have had a bad attitude about it? Absolutely. Right? Could she have said some other things? Yes, absolutely. Do I care what those things are? Absolutely not. They are irrelevant. All right, so where are we at time-wise?
We are at 16 minutes and 22 seconds.
All right, let's go ahead.
So being now it was disrespectful. Now he wanted another separation. We had only been off separation for 3 days. I told him this was getting ridiculous and that we needed somebody else involved.
To 1941.
We talked, and even then there was no accountability for the way he had spoken to me. It just became another conversation about separation. Eventually, he switched again. He said I could keep all the tax money, that he didn't even want it, that he just wanted distance from me. Chief ultimately decided that since I was not in agreement with the separation, that he would not grant one. So my husband pretty much let both of us know that he didn't want to be around me, and that even if he didn't take my days away for the next couple of weeks, he didn't want me to sleep over, and he didn't even want to touch me. So I was basically going to go over on my days, be a servant, and be emotionally and physically neglected. At that point, I didn't care anymore. He was doing everything possible to make me isolated and lonely. So I accepted that was pretty much the end of the conversation. But then it was late. I had an ultrasound appointment the next morning and needed the car. Around 1:30 in the morning, before I was going to sleep, I texted him reminding him. He called, and as the night went on, he had become more intoxicated. He said he was going to leave the keys on the tire because he didn't want to see me. I asked him not to do that. I was pregnant. It was freezing. It was raining. It was the middle of the night. I asked him to at least leave the keys at my doormat. After going back and forth, he finally agreed. But then the conversation continued. He brought the money up again. He said, I hope you're happy with your $1,400. He started talking about...
And stop right there. Stop right there. I got to point this out. When he said, I don't care about the money, keep it, he didn't mean that. He was lying when he said that. He always wanted the money. He always wants the money. Right? And that's how come he still haven't paid her but $500 so far out of the thousands that he owes. That was a lie. That was a tactic to see if it was like, well, let me see if I can manipulate her further into guilting her into giving it to me. I just don't want to deal with you anymore. Let me see if I can use affection and quality time that you don't even give her anyway. Really. Let me see if I can use that over her head to get the money, because it's all just a tactic to get the money. Make sure you understand that. It's just a tactic to get her money. That's it. To spend on alcohol. Make sure y'all understand that. All right, let's play to that timestamp.
The timestamp was 1940, right?
41. Mm-hmm.
I kept telling him I was tired and I didn't want to talk about it anymore. He said I wasn't going to tell him what he could and couldn't talk about. Then he started comparing me to his other wives. He said, my other wives would never do no faggot ass shit like this. He talked about how they gave him their tax returns without question.
Mm-hmm.
I reminded him that he was the one who had just said I could keep the money and that all I had asked was to keep a small portion of it. While I was trying to explain, he kept telling me to shut the F up, telling me I didn't need to say anything back, that I just needed to do what he said. Oh, look at all this frozen.
That's good right there, right? This is like mental abuse and mental manipulation at its height, right? I don't even care. My other wives wouldn't hold me accountable like this. That's how come I said what I said earlier. His other women, baby mamas, don't hold him accountable. They let him do whatever they want, right? And that's their prerogative. That's on them. If they want to be treated as doormats, that's their business. But when our sister, who doesn't want to be treated as a doormat, who understands she is a daughter of Zion, who practices the commandments, who knows the scriptures, whose father is involved in the same thing, right? Now I'm going to stand in the gap and say, yeah, you are a hypocrite. You're a liar. You're a deceiver. That's who you are. That's your character. This is not a fall, right? I want to make sure y'all understand that there's a huge difference between a fall and God exposing you and setting you up for his judgment. He should not be receiving any calls of sympathy and empathy at all. He should not be receiving any calls for camaraderie of well, let's set something up, brother. We'll get you through this. No, he shouldn't be receiving any of those things. Paul tells you what to do with those kinds of people. You set them out and let Satan deal with them. That's what should be done. I want to make sure that's crystal clear. That's what I'm saying. So are you saying that we shouldn't forgive the brother? Brother, it's not even for you to forgive. It's not even for you or the sister to forgive. I mean, the sisters to forgive. It's for the wife, air quotes. It's on her to forgive because that is who it was done to. So I don't have anything to forgive him for. Number one. So we got to get that correct, right? I don't have any empathy or sympathy to offer to him. There's supposed to be none because that is who you are as a person, as a human being. That's who you are. So I'm going to make sure I treat you like that's who you are. That's what you are. You are a devourer of women. And that's what a lot of these leaders are. They devour the sisters specifically. And I'm against it. So we're at 1941. Let's break this down now. This is what.
So like we're at 1846.
1846. Okay. Thank you. Let's play that to that timestamp. And then I'm going to break down what it would look like to actually be a decent husband in that situation and a good husband. Right? I'm going to break it down. What should have happened in that whole situation, just so we can like get a good, a good balance to this. To say, okay, well, he's saying all of that. Well, how should it? What should he have done then? When she didn't give him the money, like, what would you have done then? Expert, break it down. I'm gonna break it down. What a decent man would have done, I'm gonna give you levels to it, because there is levels to it. He's the worst kind of man that can exist, and then you got a middle tier where it's like, okay, that's decent. When you're decent, I won't probably have that much to say. I would just say, you're doing the bare minimum, but you can do better. And then there's actually good, which is what we should all as leaders be. So let's go ahead and play the rest of this timestamp, and then we'll get to that.
Came the insults. Hug ass bitch. Oh, ugly. So I hung up. A few seconds later, he called back. Still angry, still yelling, still cussing. I told him that he was stressing me out. It's not good for me being so early in my pregnancy and that I was done talking. He said, please just leave the keys and go home. He said, I didn't decide when the conversation was over. Calling me every name but a child. And after about 40 seconds of him screaming at me again, telling me he was going to come over to my apartment and choke me and that no one was going to stop him, and the 20th time he called me a bitch, I finally snapped. He said, stop talking to me like that. What's your problem? Are you looking in the mirror or something?
That
was enough.
Yeah. Well, look.
He told me he was on his way and that I was going to come.
Yeah. That's fair. I like that. That's a great response. Right? I like the fact that she does acknowledge what she says to quote unquote provoke him. That's a beautiful context right there. And I agree with her. I agree 100% with what she said too. That was a witty comeback, and I think that he is that. I think he was looking in the mirror, or he should. All those things that he was calling you, that's what I think he is, right? I think he was that, and I'll talk about that later in the class, after the incident is done, okay, or incident is spoken about by her. So what time are we at now?
We're at 19:39 seconds.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to break it down now. She don't say but two more things. All right. So a decent man, just so we all know, a decent man, right? What would he have done in this situation? Let's just rewind from like the whole $1,400 part, the whole tax return thing. Number one, a decent man would have called to ask her how she's doing and if she needs any help. I'm talking about the day that he knows her tax return hit. He wants the money. Even if you're decent, you're calling to ask how she is. How's the baby? How are you feeling? And if she actually needs some help. I never heard in this whole dialogue or in these whole episodes, all of these episodes, him asking her what he can do for her. I just never heard that. All right. I didn't hear it at all. Number two, ask how much she got from her taxes. Yeah, I don't mind that. That's not a problem. You're calling about the taxes anyway, but at least ask how she's doing first, if she needed any help first. Number two, ask how much she got from her taxes. That's cool. Got your taxes back? All praises. How much you get? And how much she would be willing to send him without it being a detriment to herself. So even a decent man would call and be like, got your tax return? Okay, that's what's up. And then the woman would know, oh, so this is why you really called. But at least that's still being decent though, right? And then you willing to send me any of it? You know, I could use some. Ask for what she's willing to give because it's hers and she needs it. You should recognize that she needs it. She's pregnant and lives alone. And if she's willing to send you some, you know, I think the sister would have been like, because she said, can I keep some of it? I think the sister, if you would have gave her that option, I think she would have gave you half of it. I don't think she should have gave you any of it, but I think she would have gave you half of that. I think you would have got a good 600-700 if you asked her. It's very like you don't have to be a total a-hole if you have a woman like this in that situation. She's going. She's went for you. She ignored all the red flags. She would have gave you about half of it, bro. Off the rip. This is decent. 3, take her to her ultrasound. Like any normal man would do. Take it to the ultrasound and then, you know, pretend that you're glad to be there. Shoot. That's 3. 4, reassure her that if you need anything, you got her. And guess what you could have done? You could have picked her up, took her to the ultrasound, and brought her back. And guess what now? She doesn't need the car anymore. She probably wouldn't even been tripping about the car because you took her to get the thing done that she needed to get done. And you asked her, was she straight? And you could have left with the car and $700. You see that? That's if you're just only being decent. Now, that's decent. Now, of course, I'm going to have some problems with that personally, but I ain't going to have this much issue with it. Because it's like, okay, I guess, all right. Right? That's decent. This is good. This is what a good husband or leader would do. 1, call and tell her that you love her and you're excited about the baby. Right? How about that? How about you calling her to see how she's doing, give her some affection, talk about the baby for like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. 2, ask about the tax return and tell her to spend it on herself because she deserves it. It's $1,400, bro. It's just your spending money that you can get from your own account that you have money to spend in. Let her have her tax return, bro. What are you talking about? Why do you even want it when she's pregnant? 3, take her to ultrasound, be engaged and excited. Cancel everything that you got going on, which is nothing. Put your content creating to the next day because you have a child on the way, like normal people do. Why didn't you take her to her ultrasound and be excited about it? 4, ask her if, you didn't because you're mad because she didn't give you the money and she was asking about being put on the account. That's why. It all goes back to that. 4, ask her if she needs anything before taking her home, leaving her the keys, and getting your own Uber to drive back home. How about that? How about it's her car, take her to the ultrasound, come back, leave her with the keys, tell her, have the car for a week because you got another one. Take an Uber back to where you're going and get in your G-Wagon. What are we talking about? That's what a good husband or leader would do in that specific situation. Just so it's clear, that's how men should be acting with their significant others, with their wives, right? That's what a good man looks like, in case it's confusing, right? Don't let nobody say that's simping, or that's your opinion, or if that's how you want to do it, that's fine. That's not biblical. Yes, it is. Everything that I said is biblical. It is biblically how you're supposed to deal with your wife. I don't have all the scriptures right now. I can get scriptures if somebody calls me out on it. You are exactly supposed to do it. I saw this ridiculous post on Facebook about from this elder talking about, well, show me in the scriptures where this woman is talking about cuddling. You see what I'm saying? Where say I'm supposed to cuddle? Imagine King David. Are you dumb? He did. And Solomon did. They did have cuddling time and affectionate time with their women. That's what we did in the Bible. Dummy. What are you talking about? You didn't read Songs of Solomon? What are you talking about? Okay. So now let's go to 24:48.
To the 24:44, but it should be good.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. We'll give you $500 from Redfin. You have to eat this ghost pepper first. Yeah, let's do it. I told him I was feeling sick, my chest hurt, and I needed to go back home and lay down. I didn't feel good. He said I was feeling too stressed and that I could have a miscarriage because of all the stress. And then he said something I will never forget. He said he was a prophet of God and he was prophesying that I was going to have a miscarriage.
Wait, stop right there. Take that back. Take that back. I was reading one of the comments. We're going to get to that. That is, this right here sealed his fate. For all the people who was, well, it was only one person, to be fair, that was saying, hey, brother, what you're talking about, the sins that he did is not sins unto death. And I had to show you that they were. In fact, and I read it in the Bible, I'm going to read in the Bible, this sealed his fate. If nothing else sealed his fate before, if it wasn't the offending of the little one, if it wasn't the devouring of the sister, this statement right here seals his fate in the Bible. So let's take that back and say what he said again, and hear what he said again.
Prophet of God, and he was prophesying that I was going to have a miscarriage.
Like he said that he's a prophet of God, and he prophesied I was going to have a miscarriage. Jeremiah 23:25. This is what seals the deal. It reads, I have heard what the prophets said that prophesies lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yeah, they are prophets of the deceit of their own hearts, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. All right, so in Jeremiah 23, the same chapter that we started this lesson with, or this series with, he continues on to talk about these false prophets who prophesize lies and deceits after their own heart. And then he goes on later on in the chapter to let you know that he is going to destroy them, in fact, for that. So he says it at the beginning of the chapter and towards the end of the chapter. Yes, he has sealed his fate. Number one, what you prophesied. What you prophesied, right, was that a child was going to die. That is maybe the worst thing I've ever heard a leader in Israel say. I'm ranking it. It's murder. It's murder. It's what the Bible is talking about when it's talking about murdering your brother and your sister with your words, that's literal murder. Okay? You're saying that in the name of the Lord, finished. Finished. It's not coming back from that. You're not coming back from that. You have to receive a judgment. Must happen. Thus saith the Lord in the Holy Bible. He is finished. All right? On high. Go ahead and keep playing the video.
I had just found out I was pregnant. I was already scared and overwhelmed, and now this man is standing here after everything that just happened, telling me I was going to be a single mother and prophesying that I was going to have a miscarriage. He refused to give me the second set of keys to my own car. He would not let me shut the door and leave. He kept me there until I finally agreed to send him the tax refund. Once I agreed, he moved and he let me leave. This all happened at 7 weeks pregnant. And I need people to really sit with that, because I feel like this was no longer just verbal, mental, or financial. This was no longer just him being controlling, rude, disrespectful, manipulative, or financially abusive. I was pregnant. I was isolated. I had no car of my own anymore. I had no family around me. I had no real support system there. And now the abuse had escalated physically while I was carrying his child. After that, I made it back to my place. I had to try to fix my door as best I could so it would at least lock and I could sleep comfortably knowing my door wasn't open all night. I was able to unscrew the lock cover and use a hammer to bend the latch back so the door would shut fully. It was locked, but if anyone pushed the door, it would open pretty easily, so I had to call the complex maintenance to fix it the next day. Anyway, that took about 10 minutes. Over that time, he kept texting me. He kept insulting me and pressuring me about the tax money, saying I was a liar for saying that I was going to send the money when he let me leave and that I was going to be a single mother. Eventually, I sent the money and I stopped responding. I was so shaken up, I was nauseous, and I was exhausted.
Stop right there. He finally got the money, guys. You see how far he's willing to go? Physical, like, understand that. He went to physical violence to get the money. All of that because he wanted $1,400. Putting hands on her. Prophesying the death of her child for the love of money. Because he wanted the $1,400. That's how bad he wanted it. That's how bad he'd treat a human being, the mother of his child, for $1,400. Now, I want to make sure I say this very cleanly because I don't think that there are people communicating this to Deacon. And I'm saying that for you guys to understand who I'm talking about. He's Brother Hakai. If I see him outside, I will go in his chest. Just like how he went in her chest, if I catch him outside, I'll go in his chest and then see what he wants to do next. Do I have biblical precedent on that? Some people, well, you shouldn't do that. Brother, I got a biblical precedent for you. Go to Nehemiah. Go to Nehemiah chapter. I'm saying go to Nehemiah. Like I got to read it on stage. I'm going to Nehemiah 13 and 25. All right. Nehemiah 13, verse 25. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons for yourselves. This is the leader, the judge Nehemiah, in a time where we're in captivity and we're trying to rebuild and get ourselves together and get order in this nation. Right? Did you hear what he said he did there? He said he contended. That's what I'm doing. He said he cursed some of them. So I'm not even cursing him. I'm just saying what God said. He actually, when you say brothers shouldn't wish this and that on them, Nehemiah did. He cursed them. It says it right here. It says, and smote certain of them. That's what I'm saying I'll do. If I catch him outside, if I catch him holding a camp, right? I don't care. I don't care where it is. I don't care if I catch him outside holding a camp. I'm walking on the street. I'm going to go in his chest. I don't care who he's with, right? I don't care who he's with. I'm going to see what's up. Just like how you hit that sister, right? And you wanted to play about it and be manipulative about it, right? Because I believe, number one, I believe that you did do it. I'm going to go in your chest if I see you. Just like that. I'm going to hit you just like how, and just hard enough. So as to describe just how she described how she felt, I'm going to hit you that hard. And then I'm going to see if you do to me what you did to her. We'll see if you can do that to me. Okay. And y'all tell him I said this too. Say Maul said if he catch you outside, he gonna go on your chest. If God doesn't get him first, I will. Where are we at on time?
26 minutes and 58 seconds.
All right. Using prophecy as a means of control sealed his fate, as I said before. Go back to Jeremiah 23. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 30. Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues and say, he saith. Right? Read it clean verbatim for you. And I'm against him too. In conclusion, if your leader, your teacher, your prophet, your priest is living anywhere close to this lifestyle, you are in great danger. Your soul is in great danger because you are being led to destruction. You have to examine yourself. You have to examine the people that you follow and know them by their fruits, by their works. You shall know them. Now I'm going to read the actual banner scripture, if you will. I don't think that I read that before. Matthew 7 and verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. You shall know them by their fruits, that is their works. Do men gather grapes of thorns and figs or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth good fruit. That's how come I'm saying there is no repentance for this one. This one you got to throw away. It's an evil tree. It's brought forth evil fruit, and it is for stubble. But a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. He can't repent. It's not within him. Right? It's not within him. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling you guys. And I told you guys what repentance would look like last time. Right? In conclusion, examine yourselves. Examine these brothers that you're following, because it is your soul that's on the line. With that, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. I'm going to close out the YouTube, but I will keep the Clubhouse open for anyone who wants to add, comment, chat, or whatever the case may be. Shalom.